Murder, destruction of evidence, weapons smuggling, corruption. Those are just some of the explosive allegations made by two former employees of the private military contractor formerly known as Blackwater. The claims were made in sworn statements filed on August 3rd in federal court in Virginia. The two men claim Blackwater's owner, Eric Prince, may have murdered or facilitated the murder of individuals who were cooperating with federal authorities investigating the company. One also alleges that Prince, quote, views himself as a Christian crusader tasked with eliminating Muslims and the Islamic faith from the globe, and that Prince's companies, quote, encouraged and rewarded the destruction of Iraqi life. Investigative journalist Jeremy Scahill broke the story in The Nation magazine yesterday. Jeremy is the author of the bestseller Blackwater, The Rise of the World's Most Powerful Mercenary Army. His writing and reporting is also available at rebelreports.com. He is a twice George Polk Award-winning reporter. He joins us in our Firehouse studio. Welcome to Democracy Now!
Thanks, Amy. Nice to be here.
So just lay it out. What is it that you discovered? What is this lawsuit all about?
Well, you know, there are two major investigations happening of Blackwater right now. One of them is being conducted by the Department of Justice for crimes committed by Blackwater over a wide range of years in Iraq. And 5 Blackwater operatives have been indicted on criminal manslaughter charges. They face 35 charges in all for their role in the Nicer Square shooting, the single greatest massacre of Iraqi civilians by a private force that we know of in Iraq. A 6th Blackwater operative, a guy named Jeremy Ridgway, pled guilty to 1 count of manslaughter and then another lesser count, and is cooperating now with federal authorities. And these declarations, Amy, are stunning in the sense that it's the first time that we really see insiders at Blackwater alleging a direct role by Eric Prince, the sole owner and the founder of the company, potentially in either murdering someone who was cooperating with federal authorities or was intending to cooperate with federal authorities. We're talking about in the criminal investigation here of Blackwater, or he helped facilitate the murder of these individuals. In the motion that was filed by Susan Burke on Monday, she says that under state law in Virginia, under state law in North Carolina, and under federal law in the United States of America, Eric Prince could be criminally charged with murder for his role in the killing of Iraqis. Specifically, but not exclusively, because of the aspect here that he viewed himself as a crusader with a mission to essentially kill, or in the words of one of the former Blackwater people, eliminate Muslims and wage war on Islam globally. That Eric Prince was aware that he was sending men. In fact, he was intending to send men to Iraq that he knew were going to be reckless in their use of force. He provided them, according to these individuals, with weapons that were unauthorized for use by the State Department. To hear the words murder and Blackwater in the same sentence is not a shock to anyone who knows anything about what they've been doing in Iraq. To read, though, Eric Prince's direct role in it and knowing that he micromanages everything in that company, these are explosive developments.
His background, I mean, the allegation that he views himself as a Christian crusader tasked with eliminating Muslims and the Islamic faith from the globe.
Right. Eric Prince used to, you know, he said once that people that say those kinds of things about him don't know anything about religion. Well, the fact is that if you look at Eric Prince's life history, this is a kid who was sort of the crown prince of the radical religious right. If you look at it, not to be funny on words here, but Eric Prince was in a way the crown prince. His young Eric Prince interns at the George H.W. Bush White House, but says it's not conservative enough for him. So he backs Pat Buchanan's insurgency campaign. Eric Prince converted to Catholicism, my sources tell me, because he wanted to be closer to the true tradition of the church and to the Crusades. And then you have this individual serving in the military, leaving the Navy SEALs then to start a private military training company that once the so-called war on terror is launched by President Bush, a candidate who Eric Prince gave tremendous money to and his whole network funded, they were all Bush pioneers. Bush then launches a war that he describes as a crusade, invading not one but 2 Muslim countries and putting Eric Prince and his private force of neo-crusaders at the vanguard of that occupation, guarding all of the senior people that Bush deployed in those countries to be his point men. Blackwater effectively, under the Bush years, operated as an armed wing of the Bush administration, and now we know from employees that there, in fact, was a perception within the company that Eric Prince viewed himself as a crusader in a war against Islam.
Finally, Obama's overall policy around private contractors, military contractors.
Right. Ironically, Hillary Clinton, as a senator, was the single most important U.S. political figure to call for a ban of Blackwater and actually co-signed legislation with Bernie Sanders, Jan Schakowsky, and a handful of others to try to end the use of these kinds of mercenary forces. Now Hillary Clinton is guarded by these very forces as Secretary of State and has not moved to end their use. In fact, Obama in Afghanistan is expanding the use of these forces by 29% in the second quarter of this year, and it continues to grow. The Washington Post just did a big story about how the number of private forces is swelling as the U.S. Troop levels grow in Afghanistan. In Iraq, they continue to play a very, very significant role. And I think that it's important to note, Blackwater continues to do business with the federal government under Barack Obama. That should be a scandal on Capitol Hill, particularly in light of these allegations that have come forth. There needs to be congressional investigations once again.